Before we get into the video, please go ahead and click that like button if you... What is that? Oh, okay. Hey everybody, my name is Katarina, also known as the ExtraTomboy on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. I took a little bit of a hiatus just because I needed to figure out what exactly I wanted my YouTube channel to be, and now that I've pretty much figured out that I'm going to exclusively be talking about management, things around YouTube, and what it is like being a talent manager, as well as how to be put on as a influencer, I've pretty much figured it out, and I'm just gonna start posting 2 videos a week in regards to it. I will post videos sometimes that are like more vlog style content with my clients, but only with the clients that are okay with me doing that. I'm not comfortable putting clients that aren't comfortable being seen on my YouTube channel. I prefer to build relationships long lasting in private and then work on things going forward on social media. So I've talked to a couple clients about it. They're cool with it. They're all here for it, but I would rather them film me and put me on their social media than for myself to be filming them without their consent. So today we're going to be talking about the 6 things that I've learned in the last 6 years in the talent management and entertainment industry. I've kind of learned a lot of things, and I've really developed as a person in the last few years. After, you know, the last 6 years, I feel like I'm almost a master at this, but I learn new things every single day, and it's honestly been just such a beautiful experience. Before we get into the video, please go ahead and smash that like button, as well as subscribe to my channel and turn on those bell notifications so that you get notified every time that I update. Here we go, and we're gonna get started. The first topic that we're gonna talk about in the last 6 years of things that I've learned is patience. I know that sounds like something that is pretty typical and standard, but in this industry it's something that you need a lot of in order to navigate. It takes a lot of time to develop these creative processes on the music side of things, and it takes a lot of time to develop the creative processes as well on the YouTube side. So when you're working with creative individuals, things take time and sometimes things are slower. So that patience factor really comes into play. Not only that, when you are a manager, you're kind of like a mom or a babysitter or many different things. Your name changes almost every single day. Sometimes I'm a psychologist, sometimes I am their best friend, sometimes I am their financial advisor. It just depends on what my clients need from a day-to-day perspective. I specifically work in 360 management, where I help influencers transition from one platform to another. So when I'm doing that, there's a lot of time consumed, as well as working on business development, and business development really works on research, and researching things never really works if you're impatient. So that's the first thing that I learned in this industry. Next, negotiation. I think negotiation honestly should be like the #1 thing that should be talked about in talent management that's not really talked about ever. You really need to understand your specific climate. If you're interested in being a talent manager, or if you're interested in being an artist, negotiating is going to be part of your every single day life. And the reason for it is because everything is a negotiation. Everything in life can be negotiated. That is something that I learned at a very young age, and I think things really work the best when they're able to be negotiated. So with talent management specifically, you work on brand deals in some situations, or booking shows, or before COVID, booking tours and shows kind of goes hand in hand, but these are things that have to be negotiated. The brand or the show place will get back to you and they will say, why did I say that? The brand or the venue will sometimes come back to you and they will offer a lower price than what you're thinking of. So that is when you step into negotiations. When you are negotiating, especially if you are a woman in this industry, people, especially men, don't really take you so seriously. with negotiating, it's something kind of that you learn through sales and working sales or listening to other people do sales. That is how you learn how to work on pricings. And even if it's not pricings, it can be something else. Like, you don't want to sell your clients rights away for a video, or you don't want to allow somebody to have half of the royalties on a song. You can negotiate all of that down. It just matters on who you really have representing you to talk that through. And I think that's one thing that a lot of artists and creative individuals miss moving into their next step of being an influencer or being an artist. I think artists have a better handle on having a manager is really important, because having a manager means that person is going to handle every aspect of your business life. But working with influencers, a lot of times they don't understand why a manager is so important. And I understand, because for the most part, they have gotten their careers to a certain extent so far. One thing that a lot of influencers that I work with have an issue with is allowing me into a full 360, where my artists are okay with it, they understand it immediately, there's never a question asked. But with an influencer, there's always questions because they don't understand why exactly they're paying out AdSense. Some companies in this realm of things are called multi-channel networks, and they take ad revenue. And that's, for the most part, a lot of what they do is just take ad revenue, and they don't really have a legitimate purpose. Working with many of them, it's something that's always begged the question to me of what exactly are they doing that warrants that 10 or 15%. And with a lot of influencers, they work with the company, they get extremely upset because the company doesn't work out, and they leave that network. So their whole thought process around management is that, and that's their only thought process, is that MCNs are what managers are, and they think that they can never find something that actually helps them and actually works with them. And when I left the MCN that I worked at, that was something that I had a big issue with my clients, because they didn't understand why people were so afraid to step into management, and it's because they had been so screwed over previously by multi-channel networks. Quick disclosure, I'm not saying that all MCNs are bad. I don't believe that. But in my 6 years of being in this industry, I have yet to really truly understand what exactly an MCN does besides take AdSense. I know that they have all of these options where they can pitch you to shows and they can do all this other stuff. But most of the time, unless you're a top 1% influencer, that's not an option, and that should never be pitched to you. Number 3, networking. Networking is the key to success on any platform, whether you're an artist or just a creative individual. You have to get to know people, whether it's people in your immediate circle, whether it's people outside of your circle, whether it's understanding and learning managers and what managers do, understanding brands. That all falls into the same exact pot of networking. And when I first started out as a manager, networking wasn't something that I necessarily valued. I knew it was important, and I did it a lot, but I also was very okay with breaking relationships, and it was way too common and unhealthy at the rate that I was breaking relationships that I was working on. And now, instead, I really take my time. I try to develop a good relationship with every single person that I work with, not just my clients, where before I was more client facing in the sense that I cared about the clients first and I put their needs first, which still to this day I do. But I do it without offending a brand or trying to jump down a brand's throat or trying to cancel them. And, you know, in cancel culture, that could be pretty important. Number 4, wins versus losses. Starting in this industry about 6.5 years ago, I can say I've been through my fair share of loss, much more than I've been through win. And when I first got started, I lost all the time. I wanted to strike super big and I wanted to do everything possible, but the thing is like, you can't always have your hands in everything. I learned by shadowing other managers what exactly I wanted to do and how exactly I wanted to do it, but I didn't understand really the basics of management and understand that, yeah, your manager is really like kind of like your best friend, but also you have a business relationship, and that business relationship 1000% of the time is always going to come first. So when I first got into this industry, I took a lot of L's because of that. I lost clients left, right, and center. I was losing brands because I just couldn't figure out how to maintain that relationship. I quit reaching out, I quit networking, and I lost all the time. Now in this industry, I think 2020 really changed me in a way where I do care about working with brands, and I do care about continuously carrying on a relationship with them. With that being said, every single brand that I work with, I can safely say that I have a pretty great relationship with, and because of that, that's a win. A brand liking you means that they're more likely to work with your clients. As someone that works with clients that are mainly diverse and really big, as someone who works with clients that are extremely diverse as well as focuses on inclusion, it can sometimes be difficult pitching to brands because sometimes brands are not looking for what you have. And unfortunately, that is kind of just the reality of this industry. It is changing. It's not changing fast enough. And it's unfortunate. And I hope within the next year to 2 years, I do start to see more faces, more diverse faces, and more inclusion overall. Another win for me is, you know, stepping out of my comfort zone and starting my business, which was something that I used to have just the biggest commitment issues. Anytime that you wanted me to commit to something, I absolutely 1000% couldn't, and I would immediately end up backing out or freaking out about it. In late May of this year, I was let go from a position that I was at a company, and you know what, it was my perfect time to start my own business for the first time ever, actually get an LLC, actually do everything the right way. And let me tell you, getting an LLC in California as well as starting a business in California costs you about $10,000. It was a lot of money that I just threw out, but you know what? It was so worth it. And I'm really grateful for where I'm at today. I've been in the black for the last 3 months, and most business owners are in the deep reds their first 5 years. And you know, sometimes people never come out of the deep reds and the business fails. So I look at it as a win right now that I'm able to not only pay my bills, but I'm also able to work in the way that I do at the capacity that I do. So that's a big win. Another thing that people might see as a loss is I've moved back into my family home. But I don't really see it as a loss because I'm able to save money as well as figure out where my next move is. I don't think I'll be living in California past this year. And because of that, it gives me a little bit of time to kind of think about where exactly I'm gonna go. Whereas when I'm in LA, I'm pretty much focused on just staying in LA and affording LA. Number 5, client manager relations. The client manager relationship side of things is super important, and the reason for it is because the better you know your client, the better you know what type of business you need to do for them. And I can safely say I'm very close with the majority of my clients. I have most of my clients call me at least 3 times a week, and sometimes I can't like hop on a call, but most of the time I'm always there for them, and they've kind of become somewhat like a family to me, which is something that I value a lot. I really value my clients' relationships, and I value making sure that we all are getting our needs met. So that relationship is something that I implore everyone who wants to try and be a manager to build prior to getting into this business. Finally, my very last talking point is the industry. 6 things that I've learned in the last 6 years. I think number 6 is probably the most important, but this industry is tough. And if you are a woman in this industry, I applaud you. If you're a woman in this industry that started a business, I double applaud you. And if you are just anyone that really is interested in becoming something in this industry, intern for somebody. I'm so serious. Find a talent manager that you think that you would like. Find a talent manager that's roster seems similar to something that you would represent. If you're thinking about doing talent management, if you're thinking about doing telemanagement, definitely find somebody to work with, but offer something that they don't already have. Don't say, can you figure it out? Because at the end of the day, it's just not going to be a good relationship for you. You need to do that footwork. That is not on myself. That is not on the manager. You need to figure out what makes you an asset to the company. It is not just about you being in it for your own benefit. I've had people reach out to me and want to work with me, and their intentions were good, but they wanted to start their own business later on in life, which I'm totally here for. I love that. But that should not have been your initial pitch to me. Your initial pitch to me should have been something drastically different.